Hello again, my name is Emma. Welcome to Faith Night Friday. Okay, so we are still on Judges. Let's see if I can move you guys just a little bit like that. Okay. And last week, I think I was mentioning that I didn't want to keep going because, Friday night, Faith Night Friday, right? That's what I did, Faith Night Friday? Okay. And I'm still reading on Judges, and I finished off on Judges 17, okay? I don't know if I have too much light over here, I'm not sure. Okay, so we did leave off on that, and now we're going to proceed to go to 18. All right. So, again, I'm reading off the book, Bible in 52 Weeks. Again, I'm not going exactly every week. I'm just taking my time and going through every chapter that they specify in the book. All right? Again, too, you don't have to worry. I mean, if you, for some reason feel like you don't know where to start or you don't know where to go to get into the word, there's just so many things, so many materials on your phone, on any website, on your computer. There's just so much where you could look to find and get into the word. There's a lot of churches that do online streaming. If you can't go to a church, just be careful who you listen to, okay? And just make sure that they glorify and worship Jesus Christ, and nothing else. All right. And again, I did show a concordance, and mine was huge. You might be able to go somewhere and find maybe something smaller, but the bigger it is, the more like I had mentioned before, that concordance reminds me of the back in the day phone book. Remember how huge they were? Well, that kind of concordance has so much. So if you could find something similar to that one, if you find a little one, you probably won't get as much information that you're looking for, but one of those Strong's concordance is your best way to go. Okay, and again, don't forget to find a commentary books. I mean, you could always order them online or on Amazon. I'm sure you'll find loads of commentaries on each individual book. The one I go to is Nelson's Quick Reference. That's the one I'm showing them. That's the one I go to, and it goes, it's chapter by chapter, okay? So that's the one I'm using. Okay, so we are in 18. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read. Now, I probably end up being ahead of you guys. Let me click this off without the camera falling. Okay. And but that's okay, because every time I reread something, I'm going to make sure I'm getting like a double dose or a triple dose of what I'm sharing with you. So the more I read it, the more better I'm getting at it. Okay, so you should do the same thing. If you feel like you didn't get it right, or it didn't come through to you the first time, reread it. Sometimes you have to reread something in order to get the gist of it. But I mean, that's in anything. I mean, it's the same thing as studying. Okay, you're not gonna, it's like reading the driver's manual to learn how to drive. I don't know how many times I had to reread that thing before I finally passed the test. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to pass a test. A big test. Okay, guys. So we are going to start at 18. And I'm just going to start reading to you guys, okay? So it's Judges 18, and it's on Micah and the tribe of Dan. Okay, so there was a king. Oh, there was no king. There was no king in Israel at that time. In those days, the tribe of Dan was looking for territory to claim and settle in because they had not yet received any land of their own among the tribes of Israel. So the people of Dan chose 5 qualified men out of all the families in the tribe and sent them from the towns of Zorah and Ashtiel with instructions to explore the land and spy on it. When they arrived in the hill country of Ephraim, they stayed at Micah's house. While they were there, they recognized the accent of the young Levite. Remember, he was the hireling, and he was supposed to be like a priest. So they recognized his voice and the accent of the young Levite. So they went up to him and asked, "What are you doing here? Who brought you here?" He answered, "I have an arrangement with Micah, he who pays me to serve as his priest." They said to him, "Please ask God if we are going to be successful on our trip." The priest answered, "You have nothing to worry about. The Lord is taking care of you on this trip." So that's what the Levite said. The priest answered, "You have nothing to worry about. The Lord is..." Okay, I read that. Okay, so the 5 men left and went to the town of Laish. They saw how the people there lived in security. Like the Sidonians, they were a peaceful, quiet people with no arguments with one another. They had all they needed. They lived far away from the Sidonians and had no dealings with any other people. When the 5 men returned to Zorah and Eshtaol, their countrymen asked them what they had found. "Come on," they replied, "let's attack Laish. We saw the land. It's very good. Don't stay here doing nothing. Hurry, go on in and take it over. When you get there, you will find the people don't suspect a thing. It is a big country. It has everything a person could want, and God has given it to you." So 600 men from the tribe of Dan left Zorah and Eshtaol ready to battle. They went up and camped west of Kiriath Jearim in Judah. That is why the place is still called the camp of Dan. They went on from there and came to Micah's house in the hill country of Ephraim. Then the 5 men who had gone to spy on the country around Laish said to their companions, "Did you know that here in one of these houses there is a wooden idol covered with silver?" Remember the idol that was made by the mother of the young man who stole it? Well, Micah still had that idol. There is also other... I was supposed to look up this word and I forgot. There's also other idols and an ephod, which I don't know what an ephod is. And I'd look it up. I'm using both of my phone. So maybe you guys can tell me. Well, I'll look it up later and I'll let you guys know next week. What do you think we should do? So they went into Micah's house where the young Levite lived and asked the Levite how he was getting along. Meanwhile, the 600 Danite soldiers ready for battle were standing at the gate. The 5 spies went straight on into the house and took the wooden idol covered with silver and the other idols and the ephod, while the priest stayed at the gate with 600 armed men. When the men went into Micah's house and took the sacred objects, the priest asked him, "What are you doing?" They told him, "Keep quiet, don't say a word, come with us and be our priest and advisor. Wouldn't you rather be a priest for a whole Israelite tribe than for the family of one man?" That made the priest very happy. So This made the priest very happy, and so he took the sacred objects and went along with them. They turned around and started off with their children, their cattle, their belongings, going ahead. They had traveled a good distance from the house when Micah called his neighbors out for battle. They caught up with the Danites and shouted at them. The Danites turned around and asked Micah, "What's the matter? Why all the mob? Why all this mob?" Micah answered, "What do you mean? What is the matter? You take my priest and the gods that I made and walk off. What have I got left?" The Danites told him, "You had better not say anything else unless you want these men to get angry and attack you. You and your whole family would die." Then the Danites went on. Micah saw that they were too strong for him, so he turned and went back home. After the Danites had taken the priest and the things that Micah had made, they went and attacked Laish, the town of peaceful, quiet people, which was in the same valley as Bethreneb. They killed the inhabitants and burned the town. There was no one to save them, because Laish was a long way from Sidon, and they had no dealings with any other people. The Danites built their town and settled down there. They changed its name from Laish to Dan. After their ancestors Dan, the son of Jacob, the Danites set up the idol of the Gershom, and grandson of Moses, served as a priest for the Danites, and his descendants served as their priest until the people were taken away into exile. Micah's idol remained there as long as the tent where God was worshipped remained in Shiloh. Okay, whew, that was a lot of reading. I'd go slower, but Okay, so if you want to reread that on your own, you can do that. Sometimes I underline, if something grabs me, I underline it. Okay, there was no king in Israel at the time. In those days, the king of Dan was looking for territory to claim. So, and again, there was no ruler, no government, no nothing, and everybody did whatever they wanted, which was not good. Okay, and then while they were there, they recognized, so the Israelites recognized the accent of the young Levite. So I did underline that. And then I circled security, the town of Laish, where everybody in that place was calm. There was no, people were living in peace, and everybody was happy, and they had everything they needed, and nobody bothered them, and they didn't bother anybody. But sad thing is that nobody around was able to save them or protect them from this attack, because again, they had no, they didn't go along with anybody else. They were a whole tribe on their own, and of course they end up being attacked. It's like, holy moly, and for nobody to save them, that was pretty brutal and pretty sad. But they did see the idol that was covered in silver, and they took that with them. And then over here, the Ephod. I circled that too because I wanted to look it up later on. I forgot. Okay. Then, of course, they told the young Levite, the priest, do you really want to be here and just be a priest to one family? How about coming with us and be a priest to the whole Israel tribe? And that sounded good to him. Heck yeah, can you imagine having a congregation? He could speak to all these people instead of sending one little family. So he took that as an opportunity and went with them. Of course, Micah tried to do everything he can to stop them. He goes, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And he goes, "You're taking my priest, you're taking my things. Like, why are you doing this?" He goes, "Well, do you really want to fight against us? I mean, really? There's hundreds of soldiers, men's here, and you get them angry, they're going to kill you and your family. So do you really want to mess with us?" And he was like, of course, he backed down. Yeah, I guess not. Go ahead, take it. So, and apparently they survived, right? Okay, so Micah saw that they were too strong for him, and so he turned and went back home. That's what I remember writing down. Okay, so let's see what the chapter, what did I write? I wrote the same thing out of my own writing. I always try to write something of what I thought about, not what I thought, but little bits and tips of, what I read. So 18, the tribe of Dan recognized the Levite. The spies went to Laish and was attacked. Micah stood down while they took all his idols. I did write down from the Bible commentary, the corruption spread to the whole tribe, false prosperity and security that won't last. So, dun, 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 dun. Okay, so let's see what the commentary said about, 18. Okay, so now this is the commentary based on that chapter. Okay, so again with some more reading. Okay, so the corruption, which I wrote down here, the corruption in the home will eventually spread to society. In this case, it spread to the whole tribe. False doctrine is like yeast. It grows quietly in secret and affects everything it touches. That's a pretty good, comparison. Wow. The Danites had claimed their inheritance, but the enemy's invasion had forced them to relocate. Had the tribe stayed true to God, the enemy would not have dispossessed them, and they could have enjoyed their inheritance. Okay, so what a way to find a new home. The Danites kidnapped the Herodian priests of the false religion and stole the idols. Then they killed innocent people who were living in ignorant isolation, a dangerous thing in that day. Yeah, I mean, if you had, you lived in peace and everything, but nobody knew about you. Nobody, it's like you guys living in, like, Gilligan's Island. You're stuck in an island, but if nobody knows that you're there, yeah, you're fine, you're living, but there's nobody there there's nobody around to rescue you. And so that was a very, very dangerous way to live. Then they killed innocent people who were living in ignorant isolation, a dangerous thing to do in that day. The climax came when they set up their own center of idolatrous worship in open disobedience to the word of God. They were living in a place where there was no lack of anything that is on the earth, and yet they lacked everything that God wanted to give them from heaven. Their false prosperity gave them false security that could not last. So, so they had everything, but at the same time, it's like they lacked everything that God was trying to bless them, from heaven. So it's kind of like, you have all this stuff to live and survive, but you don't have the blessings from heaven that you should have to continue to be, a blessed and honest worshiping people. You're still straying away from that. Okay, so they lacked a lot of stuff that they could have had a lot of benefits from God, from heaven, but because they decided again to do things their own way, they missed out on a whole lot more. So that's where we're at, and next week we will go through it. We'll go to Judges 19, and again, it just seems like what place, to be in where there's no government, no policeman, no nothing. In those days, there was no ruler, no leader, and because there was nobody like that, they just did and ran amok, and they all did whatever they wanted, which is not a way to live. And somehow, sometimes, we feel like we can't live the same way. We can, forget about everything that we were taught and just, I'll do it my way. I'll go my way. I'll learn things my way. But sometimes it's not always the best way to learn things on your way. It's better to get instructed and learn how to do it the right way. This way you'll have better outcome and faster than if you try to do it your own way. So always listen to your heart and say, you know what, I better get some more information on this. I better try to, do things right. This way it benefits you more than trying to do it on your own, if that makes sense. And again, like I said, they're always, and because they had no leadership, they were always committing these crimes, and these crimes would always backfire on them. So the crime with the mother of the young priest, or the young man who stole the items, I mean, she cared more about her character than her son, remember? So that backfired on them. And it was like their whole household was like, it went down because they had no real connection to further, their faith in God. They kind of like it made their household fall. So, and that's what you don't want. You want to keep going and living right so that you can be blessed in return. It's just the same way. What is that thing? The broad way to heaven, to the world is wide, but the narrow road is small to get to heaven, or to, I forgot what it is. But you know what I mean. But the narrow is small. And sometimes we have to take that narrow road, because the wider one, we just get bombarded by so many things and so many distractions and everything. And when we're trying to find the narrow way to get to that end of the light, that beacon, it's, you can see, you can hear it, but it's going to take a minute to get there. It's a lot more harder, but you'll get there. Okay, guys, so that is it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed our little chat on Judges and or my reading. And I'll try to go a little bit slower next time. But yeah, I'm going to keep reading it. As like I said, we're learning together. I'm not trying to force anybody or teach something that I'm not sure about, that I don't know about, because like you, I'm learning just the same. So okay, so glad you were with me tonight, and we will continue this next week. And again, like a fish in the sea, so glad you caught me, and we will catch you tomorrow for Saturday night crochet. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye bye.